So when you turn the SQ board on, typically the default is going to be to this home screen, or it will be at the last screen that you viewed before you shut it down. Now in this case I'm going to be picking the first line and just going to be hitting the select button over here to the left on the actual channel strip, and then of course this display comes up on the screen because the processing button has been activated and pressed, so we are now seeing the processing items that are available on the mixer for this. Now as you can see along the left hand side here, you've got your gain, high pass filter, gate, so forth. Now there are these little buttons that are just to the left of them that if you press those, you are essentially turning on and off the various features related to high pass filter, gate, and compression, and so forth. But for the purposes of what I'm going to be using this for, I'm going to leave them on. Now when you touch a particular screen, as you can see, this one has kind of a white highlighted area around the screen. So this is the compressor section, which is now adjusted by this, by your compressor knob here on the far left. So I'm just going to leave that about where it was. Another way to turn your compressor on and off is to hit your IN or insert button there, but I'm going to leave that on for today. You can adjust things like your ratio, your threshold, and so forth. So if you actually select that, for example, this is a ratio button, so now this is highlighted. You may or may not have noticed, you wouldn't see that, but as you select something, you notice that this here control knob is now also lit up. So you can alter your ratio of compression, as you can see there, just simply by rotating that knob. So I'm just going to leave that at the default 3:1. So I'm going to put that there, like so. Then, so there's various other elements that can be used in order to change. Now if I select, so if I select this, again, this graph becomes highlighted in white, and now we're showing the parametric EQ for this particular line, and the buttons on the right will actually allow you to change the settings for this particular area. Now high pass filter, actually on the left hand side here, when that is rotated, as you can see, your high pass filter now changes, but I'm just going to leave that at the default of 100 Hertz. Then over on the right hand side you'll see, let me just work with like a gain here, for example. So I'm going to increase this up to 12. You'll notice that it also changes on the screen here as well for that particular element that was picked. So you can either change it using these knobs over here on the right hand side. Your width, which is the Q setting, that also changes according to how you're using this rotor knob, but I'll just leave that at the 0.5 level. Frequency allows you to pick and drift where your bell curve is going to actually be set up. So you can have it centered, in this case it's at 521 for the low mid, but you can obviously scale that to almost anywhere you want. Gain, of course, can go above or below your zero line here. But I'm just going to leave it flat. I'm just kind of not really, when I'm initially starting with something, I'm just not really all that fond of going crazy on mixing anything different out of the box. Just kind of like keep it all flat and work with it a little bit later. Now the other area that can be looked at here. This is the gate and threshold area. So again, with the gate and threshold, we are looking at altering according to this. So we can either do it that way, or again, if we actually press that threshold button here and use the rotary adjustment knob, you can also do it that way as well. So there are typically almost two different ways that you can use for almost any given function to be able to control it or to do a setting. One of the things that it took me a bit to understand or to catch on to is that when for example, if the compressor is activated, the line here is yellow. I'm not sure if you can see that very well on this video, but when you deselect it, then the line turns white, and also this element becomes gray, as if you're not really using it anymore, which in this case we're not. But if you press it again, the line turns yellow, your gate essentially turns red on this strip on the right, and then this all becomes red down here as well, because it's continually monitoring for any kind of an input signal.